Hi, I'm Melina Harapetian.
And I'm Zachary Villanueva, and we're here on behalf of our team, the EcoNarcs.
This presentation will show you the work we've been doing over the past 6 months.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Our team set out to disprove the myth that marijuana in the common market is harmless. Too many teenagers believe that marijuana is nothing but beneficial. Even if they think it's dangerous, the last reason that comes to mind is that growing it illegally kills the environment. As the first test area, we looked at our state, California, which is ranked number 10 in the U.S. when it comes to marijuana use. Environmental GIS is a class offered at Clark every year to those who have taken the scientific research prerequisite class.
Every year, the team of about 8 students picks an environmental topic to research. Using mainly a program known as ArcGIS, the team researches, maps, and analyzes the environmental issue they have chosen. So in August, we began working on this project. In order to understand the nature of marijuana in this country, we took a long time to study the process marijuana goes through. The first stage in our study was the detection of marijuana.
After doing some research, we brought Maya, a drug dog, to demonstrate to us the way a person would get caught with marijuana. Maya sniffed through backpacks and found samples her Glendale Police Department handler had put into backpacks for our demonstration. We now saw what being busted for marijuana looked like.
We wanted to take our observations a step further, though. We partnered with the Ventura County Sheriff's Department to go up to one of the marijuana growth sites that had been busted.
We hiked the Holiday Growth Site in Ojai, California, to see the environmental damage that had been caused by the drug cartels that were growing marijuana in the area. The yellow line on the top left of the screen shows the area we hiked. If we zoom in closer, it is more evident.
The general landscape in the area was dry. There were trees and brush all over the hills. The terrain was steep and the temperature was 96 degrees when we went there. The officers took our team, accompanied by Miss Evansby, on the 3-mile hike to the busted growth site.
Once we began our hike into the growth site, the damage became more and more shocking. Rubber tubing leading from the main water source in the area to the sites where the marijuana was being grown were everywhere. The brush had been cleared under the trees to make room for growing marijuana. By removing all the brush and plants in the area, the soil under the plants becomes a big problem. If a rainstorm were to hit, the lack of plants keeping the soil in place would cause massive erosion and mudslides, and wind could blow the soil into the air, which would only add to the air pollution in the area.
Also, the tubing reroutes water that is essential to the plants and animals in the area. Over time, the plants in the area would die off because of the imbalance of water coming to them.
On the hike, my teammates and I were accompanied by 4 armed Ventura County Sheriff's Department police officers to make sure that we would be safe in case anybody growing the marijuana came back.
By using a Trimble Juno handheld GPS device, we recorded our hike and exported the data into ArcGIS to create a map with satellite-recorded imagery of the area along with the hike's coordinates and the growth site's exact position. We compared the natural, untouched areas to the areas that were used to grow marijuana, and we documented the differences.
We found bags of fertilizer spilled into stream beds. When it rains in the area, the water will flood the stream beds, taking the fertilizer and dumping it into the lakes around it. We also found discarded trash near the campsite and many other types of refuse in the area. Insecticides, pesticides, rat killers, gopher killers, they were all there. Any kind of fertilizer and pest control product we could name was there.
Because the work the drug cartel growers are doing is illegal anyway, the last thing they will care about is keeping the environment around them clean. They litter, destroy, and kill whatever they want. Animals and plants in the area aren't considered at all. Nothing comes before growing a good harvest.
When we reached the actual growth site, we took pictures, recorded video, and documented some of the damage we found. To get a real idea of the damage in the physical land, we took soil and water samples from various parts of the hike and recorded their GPS locations. The next phase of our project was trying to find a better way of locating illegal marijuana farms for law enforcement. Currently, the narcotics divisions go out by helicopter in very tough terrain and visually find marijuana farms in remote areas. We have a better way.
Our method involves ENVI, software that can identify spectral signatures of vegetation and has its MH, which generates stream networks from digital elevation models. Plants in areas where these growers plant their crops are suited for a semi-arid environment with an infrequent source of water. The drug cartels reroute water supplies to their plants to ensure the fast growth cycle of the drugs. This will change the way the water naturally flows, showing an inconsistent spectral signature in an ENVI analysis.
An obvious difference can be seen from the natural vegetation in the area. This gives law enforcement a clear way of identifying regions that could be growth sites, without being seen by the growers and without being in harm's way. The narcotics deputies took us to the growers' base camp, where we saw their sleeping bags, shoes, makeshift tents, and food. Guns and bullet casings were everywhere. The growers shoot animals in the area for sport, so rifles and handguns were littered around the camp. The most significant item we found, however, was a cell phone that belonged to one of the growers. The Ventura County Sheriff's Department confiscated the phone for further investigation. The red map is the connected final hike. Because our team was in a remote location, our GPS did not pick up our entire hike, which is why we used ArcGIS to complete our map. The Sheriff's Department also provided some aerial pictures of the growth site. It is obvious that the area used by the growers has been stripped of all natural foliage to make room for the marijuana. After collecting the samples, we took them to the Institute for Integrated Research Materials, Environments and Societies, or ERMI's lab, at California State University, Long Beach. The amount of water we had wasn't enough to test for significant levels of contaminants, but the soil and marijuana were tested for pesticides and fungicides. The most prominent pesticides we found in high levels were very dangerous to public health. These chemicals in high levels have been known to cause birth defects and overall sickness in the subjects. Workers exposed to these chemicals reported symptoms such as skin rash, allergic dermatitis, itchiness, nausea, headache, diarrhea, abdominal pain, vomiting, nosebleed, and eye irritation. In the future, we hope to test for fertilizer content and compare what we find in the illegal marijuana alongside samples of medical marijuana. When we arrived at ERMI's, we were briefed on what methods we could use to test the soil, water, and marijuana samples. We went through the process of extracting water from chemicals we added that attract hydrobiotic compounds. We tested the marijuana in like manner, but we also looked at the samples under an electron microscope. By looking at the samples at a magnified angle, we could look for any growing mold in the plants. The samples gathered from Long Beach and Ventura County did not have any significant mold accumulation, but we hope to do further studies in the future.
Our last step was getting the word out. We made a PowerPoint presentation by pairing a Windows Connect with Arc Explorer to create an interactive map that was presented to our health classes. A Speech 101 class at Glendale Community College and GIS Day at the Department of Public Works in Los Angeles.
We showed all our findings in the presentations and continue to present at various events. We entered our project in the land water competition from the Lexus Eco Challenge and won for our region. The Glendale News Press interviewed our team about the project and wrote an article highlighting what we had accomplished. We continue to participate in educational outreach by presenting our findings to organizations and schools.
What are we doing now, you ask? We are targeting middle school students all the way to college students to try to prevent young people from taking up recreational smoking of marijuana. We presented our maps and findings at the Glendale Unified School District School Board meeting, which was recorded and broadcasted on the local TV channel. Through presenting our findings, we have already raised awareness in the teenage community about this subject. To date, any other studies that have been conducted about this topic have been for the adult audience. Our group believes that the young adult and teenage audience is an appropriate target for this information.
Our project is unique in many ways. We are trying to bring this type of information to a demographic we know will be most affected by it, And we can say, as witnesses to the epidemic, that teenagers should be made aware of the dangers of illegally grown marijuana. Illegally grown marijuana threatens the human body, the economy, and the environment. The work that we do is aimed to help the young people who will be faced with the drug in the future, and hopefully, with our information, will say no. Thank you for watching our presentation. Please feel free to email us with any comments or questions. We'd love to hear what you think. Bye!